The ground trembled as iron thunder roared.
A cannon, larger than any the world had seen, spat fire against the ancient walls. Dust and stone filled the air, choking the cries of defenders. For 1,000 years, these walls had defied kings, caliphs, and crusaders.
Now, in the spring of 1453, they began to crack.
Above the chaos, the dome of Hagia Sophia gleamed beneath the rising sun.
A city prayed for deliverance, while an empire prepared to die. And at its gates stood a young conqueror, determined to carve his name into eternity.
The fall of Constantinople had begun.
For centuries, Constantinople had stood as the jewel of the East. Its walls, the mighty Theodosian Walls, rose like mountains of stone.
They guarded the last remnant of Rome.
Merchants from Venice, Genoa, and the East once filled its markets. Gold, silk, and spices poured through its gates.
But by 1453, the empire was only a shadow. It was reduced to little more than this single city.
The vast lands of Byzantium had already fallen, one by one.
The rising power of the Ottomans claimed them all.
At their head stood Mehmed II, the young sultan.
He was only 21 years old.
Ambitious, relentless, he dreamed of glory. He longed to take the city that had resisted every siege for 1,000 years. To him, Constantinople was more than a city.
It was destiny.
Across the Golden Horn, his armies gathered. Tens of thousands of men assembled. Hundreds of ships filled the waters.
And weapons the world had never seen stood ready.
Inside the city, Emperor Constantine II prepared for the storm. He knew he was outnumbered. But he was not yet broken.
Priests led processions through the streets.
Chanting prayers rose into the night air.
Citizens clung desperately to faith.
The stage was set.
The dying light of Byzantium faced the rising sun of the Ottomans.
Mehmed II did not march alone. He brought the storm with him.
80,000 soldiers gathered outside the walls.
Janissaries, hardened by war, stood in formation. A fleet of 400 ships closed in on the city.
But his greatest weapon was not flesh and steel.
A Hungarian engineer named Orban built a cannon for him.
It was unlike anything in history. Its bronze barrel stretched more than 8 meters.
Its projectiles weighed 600 kilograms. When it fired, the earth shook. Men fell to their knees in fear. Mehmed placed this monster before the Theodosian Walls.
The walls were thought to be unbreakable.
The sound echoed across the Bosporus. Each strike tore at the ancient stones. Cracks spread where none had been before.
Inside the city, Constantine II gathered his defenders.
He had barely 7,000 men. Greeks stood with him. Venetians stood with him.
Genoese stood with him.
All who remained loyal stood by his side.
He swore not to flee.
If the city falls, I will fall with it, he declared. In Hagia Sophia, citizens lit candles.
They sang hymns in the flickering light. They prayed that heaven would guard their wall.
But faith met iron. Hope met fire. The siege had become a trial of endurance.
And both rulers knew one truth. One must break.
The first assaults came with the dawn. Waves of Ottoman soldiers surged against the walls. They raised ladders high. Their shields locked together. Arrows darkened the sky.
They rained down upon the defenders.
From the ramparts, fire poured down.
Greek fire burst into flame!
Stones crashed upon the attackers.
The defenders fought with desperation!
They fought like men, with nothing left to lose.
Flames consumed the siege towers. Boiling oil cascaded onto the invaders. Every ladder that touched the walls was broken. Dozens fell into the moat below. The Theodosian Walls were scarred. But they still stood. They still defied the young Sultan. Yet the cannon never ceased. Day after day, it struck. Its blasts tore open fissures in the stone. Dust filled the lungs of soldiers. Inside the city, the bells rang.
They rang from every church. They summoned him, men to hold.
Women carried stones.
Children carried water. Even priests lifted swords. They blessed their blades before striking. Still, the Ottomans returned. They were relentless. They were unyielding. Every failed assault was followed by another. Each was stronger. Each was fiercer.
With each sunrise, cracks grew wider.
The defenders knew the truth.
They were holding back the tide with bare hands.
But Mehmed knew as well. The tide always wins.
The night of May 28th was silent. Inside the city, priests led a final procession.
They walked through Hagia Sophia.
Candles flickered against marble walls.
Thousands prayed for a miracle.
Outsit, the Ottoman camp glowed with fire. Torches blazed like a sea of flame.
Drums thundered across the plain.
Horns roared into the night. The voice of Mehmed rose above all.
Tomorrow, the city will be ours!
Before dawn, the assault began.
The great cannon roared with fury!
It shattered the gate of St. Romanus. Smoke cloaked the battlefield.
Dust choked the air.
Janissaries stormed forward in endless waves. Trumpets screamed!
Steel clashed on the walls.
The defenders fought with desperate valor.
Their shield splintered.
Their swords dripped with blood.
But the tide was too great.
One by one, the bastions collapsed.
Amid the chaos, Constantine II tore off his robes.
He was indistinguishable from his men.
He charged into the breach. For the faith! For the city!
The last emperor of Rome vanished into the fury of battle.
The gates lay open.
The conqueror's banner rose above the smoke.
The walls of Constantinople had finally broken. And with them, an empire died. Within, thousands sought refuge.
Prayers rose beneath the dome as the storm closed in.
The tide could not be stopped.
At last, the young sultan beheld his prize.
The 1,000-year empire of Rome was no more.
The walls had fallen.
Ottoman soldiers poured through the breaches. They came like a flood of steel.
Screams echoed through the narrow streets. Flames consumed wooden houses. The clang of swords rang in the air.
Cries of the dying rose with it. Inside Hagia Sophia, thousands huddled together.
They clutched icons in trembling hands.
They whispered prayers beneath the great dome.
The massive bronze doors shuddered. The doors burst open with a crash.
Armed men poured into the sanctuary.
Silence fell in the shadow of the crescent. The sacred ground of Christendom lay conquered. They were trampled into the blooded earth. Above the chaos, a new banner rose.
Mehmed II rode through the shattered gates.
His gaze fixed on the city he had dreamed of. They called him the Conqueror.
Now the name was carved into stone.
The Byzantine Empire was no more. The last remnant of Rome had ceased to exist. An age had ended in fire.
An age had ended in ruin.
From its ashes, a new empire was born. The fall of Constantinople was not only the death of a city.
It was the end of an age.
For 1,000 years, Byzantium stood as a bridge.
It was the bridge between East and West. Now, that bridge was broken. Europe trembled at the news. Popes mourned the loss.
They fear the tide of Islam.
Merchants turned their eyes westward.
They launched voyages that would reshape the world. In the East, a new power rose.
The Ottoman Empire stretched across continents. Hagia Sophia once held the Orthodox faith. Now its dome echoed with the call to prayer.
The double-headed eagle fell. The crescent moon ascended.
Yet the memory of Constantinople endured. It lived in legend. It lived in longing.
In its fall, the medieval world ended. The modern world began. History turned a page. It was a page written in fire and blood. But its story remains eternal. Its glory remains eternal. Its tragedy remains eternal. Its story, its glory, its tragedy, eternal.